All right, so our topic tonight is about something near and dear to our heart, and it is the magic circle. And we are going to start with a Wikipedia article because a lot of you are probably like, what's the magic circle? Well, what's the magic circle, Teal?
The magic circle is, it's described as this enclosed space of, this is your game within the magic circle, and this is the real world outside the magic circle. And never the twain shall meet.
The rules change completely when one is within the magic circle as opposed to when one is without. That's the rules for everything, from mechanics to characters, the world, existence itself. Suspension of disbelief happens in totality when one enters the magic circle. This is an old concept, by the way, but it predates video games quite a bit. They used to talk about card games, board games, games that children play in schoolyards, games in general. This is not just video games.
Right.
But is the magic circle valid? Now, we're not going to read the Wikipedia definition. You guys can go to the Wikipedia page. I just hold it up here to show that it is something that has been around for a while. The concept is nothing new, but it's not often talked about in video games, and there's a reason why. Let me get to the next article.
Please, yeah, get to the next article.
So this is an older article written in 2012 by one of the writers of The Rules of Play. If you have not read The Rules of Play, you need to go to Amazon and get it. It is a fantastic book on game design.
Yeah, it's by Eric Zimmerman and Kate.
I cannot remember her last name.
I can't remember her last name, but Eric and Kate, they wrote this book.
Yeah, Eric Zimmerman wrote this article, by the way.
And cue all kinds of bullshit.
Yes. Yeah.
From there.
I'm glad you've read it, Miyaka. Yes, if you are a game developer and you want to take yourself seriously and you want to be a serious game dev, you owe it to yourself to buy this book and read it and make it your, I don't want to say your Bible, but make it like your Sun Tzu Art of War for game design.
Yeah, it's one of the core books that you should have in your library.
It came out, I think, while I was in school. I believe I actually got it while I was in school for game development. Either that or right afterwards, and it is so good. It is so good. Buy yourself a copy.
And completely misunderstood.
Across the board.
As evidenced by all the academic screaming, hand-reading, and bullshitting that has erupted since the Rules of Play was published.
So this article right here on GameDeveloper.com is written by Eric Zimmerman. And he wrote it specifically because of all the BS that Teal is talking about. What we're not going to do is scroll through this article. It is very wordy, very academic, very scholarly. It is written using 50, 75, and $1 words. It is not... Katie Saline, thank you, human. Salin.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Katie Salin and Eric Zimmerman. Yes. They co-wrote The Rules of Play.
Yes. So what we'll do... Teal, do you want to go ahead and summarize the book and then we kind of dialogue? Not the book, I'm sorry, the article. Do you want to summarize the article? Because I know you read it after I did. Your memory might be a little fresher.
Well, there's a lot to unpack with the article. I'll try to summarize it, okay?
Yeah.
Basically, Mr. Zimmerman wrote the article to address the years-long disparaging of his and Kate's concept of the magic circle. It is part rebuttal, but also a lot of explanation. And when you read through the article, from today's standpoint, it's freaking common sense. The magic circle is not this solid space where what happens here has no bearing on out here.
At all.
And reverse.
Right.
Instead, what we all know that's true is that the game space, the game that you create, you permeate in and out of the space. You bring your real life friends into it. You take the ideas that inspired you in the game to out here in the real world, and you talk about things. You have socializing in the game, out of the game. Monetary transactions now. You have in-game purchases that you can carry with you out in the physical world.
Right.
So the idea of this, what Zimmerman called the magic circle jerk.
Yeah, he was is
a made up construct.
Yes.
So made up person who thinks that, it's this narrow absolutist idea. And it was never the case. And to even think about it like that has been a total misapplication of the book, The Rules of Play.
Right. And the magic circle.
The magic circle. And academics, of course, let's pick on them for a second because I love picking on them. But academics got it wrong.
They did.
And they preached it wrong to their students, so their students got the wrong idea. And everybody thought, especially graduate students, thought it was way cool to attack this idea of the magic circle, when in fact, there was no idea like that.
Right.
It was all just a windmill that people tilted at.
So let's actually talk about the magic circle. Let's actually talk about what it really is and what it really...
Yes, let's talk about what it really is. And how you can apply it as a game dev.
Right. And spoiler alert, some of you may already, especially if you've been listening to us for a while. So let's go over a few axioms and then let's discuss them. Okay, first off, there is no right way to do anything in game development.
Let's repeat that to the guys in the back. There is no right way to do anything in game development.
There are best practices. There are certain things you should avoid unless you're trying to cause your players harm. And there is the evil of exploiting the dopamine cycle. But that's not, this is the only way to create a game. This is the right way to create a game. That does not exist.
It does not.
And
anybody that's trying to tell you that is trying to sell you something. Run.
Exactly. We've always, especially since we started live streaming, we have always made a point of saying, these are things you should do, these are things you should not do. But we don't say these are things you must do, or you must not do. And when we call someone out on something, it is because what they're doing harms the UX, the user experience.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the concept is bad. Let's talk about bosses, because the boss fight video just went live today. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And in that video, a bunch of people were talking about how much they hate it when a boss heals a lot. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, incorrectly applying the magic circle would be saying never have a boss heal a lot. That is an absolute, and that's not the case. You could use a boss that heals a lot correctly. Like, for example, they're healing constantly 50%, 100%, so you have to put a reflect spell on them so that it heals you instead. That's perforating the magic circle to where it's not an absolute.
Right. An even better way to describe the magic circle is it's impossible to have a conversation outside of that game world about this boss that heals a lot. Because that has no bearing on real life.
Yeah. You're complaining about it. Okay, fine. Maybe the game's not for you. That also is absolutism. A lot of the toxicity that we see not only in our communities, but communities across the board, come from this misconception that the moment you stop playing the game, anything relevant to the game is irrelevant. And that's not the case. That's not the case. That's how you get into massive fights on message boards about tracer sexuality. I hate to say it like that, but it's coming to that. A lot of the toxicity that exists nowadays is because of the misunderstanding of this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy at making the boss. So yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Tracer from
If-
Overwatch, BG.
If the magic circle was so impermeable and so absolute, right?
Yeah.
How in the hell would we have VR?
We wouldn't. Or AR, ARGs,
We would.
socially
we wouldn't have
constructed games, gaming communities. So on both the game development side and the game community side, there is no 100% absolute. It's all about seeing what works in the context of that game.
Right. Yeah. If it was so absolute, all games would be the same.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
this article is really good. It's up here, right?
It's right here.
This article is really good from Eric Zimmerman about explaining what the whole point of the book was, explaining the original idea of the magic circle to the guys in the back that didn't get it.
Right. A couple of other things, if I will, Teal.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and point some of the finer points out in the article.
For example, let's say that you have a real strong working knowledge of sociology and you understand how social circles exist in the real world. Yes, you should bring that knowledge when you're creating your game, but don't be beholden to it as an absolute truth, because you have the same capability to create some kind of fantasy society that's completely different. Maybe you have a fantasy society where people aren't married, they just have partnerships that last for 5 years. Okay, so that's not what most societies here in the world do. We don't really do that. We consider partnerships or marriage. Let's say that your sociological and your idea of crime and punishment is very much based on today's society. What is illegal, what is not illegal, what is socially acceptable, what is not. You're not beholden to have that in your game.
Correct.
Yeah. Engineering. Here's one. If this was followed,
here's one.
Final Fantasy XIV would not exist. Okay? If you have to follow engineering and architecture because that's how it works in the real world because you're an architect, then you're not creating a beautiful game like Final Fantasy XIV. So again, you may have real world knowledge and real world expertise and you should use it, but you shouldn't consider it to be an absolute.
Yeah. But depending on your discipline, you're going to look at things in a different way through the lens of your discipline.
Which you should.
And that's okay, which you should. But what you shouldn't do is hold everybody else to the standard of your discipline.
Yes. Exactly.
And it seems like such an intuitive thing, but this very idea has enraged academics for years.
And academics teach students. Students follow what the academics teach them and end up spreading that out to people who work underneath them on a project. And the next thing you know, there's the rules of play instead of just the rules of play. The rules of play context is king.
I was going to say that it takes the straw man argument to a whole new level.
So completely. They even mentioned that in the article. In fact, I think they have the straw man. There he is. There's the straw man. They use the wicker man.
Yeah.
So, again, there's a difference between best practices and absolutes. Best practices are things that are accepted in the industry as ways to make the UX good. However, if you can find a way to circumvent that best practice and deliver a good UX, that's fine. What is the most important thing in gameplay?
The UX.
The UX.
So, that's to be the focus.
Yes. If you can bend the rules, change the rules, break the rules, like Roxy said, more of the guidelines than actual rules, but maintain and promote a wonderful UX, you're doing it right, and don't let anyone, not even us, tell you otherwise.
Exactly. So I thought it was I wanted to bring this forward because even though we haven't seen the the fire and brimstone arguments in our communities about the magic circle,
Yes.
it does exist.
It does.
There are subreddits out there that are people are absolutely frothing at the mouth about it, and it's not even a real issue.
Agreed.
To be honest with you,
it's the reason why back in the the late aughts, early 2010s, I left RPG Maker Network, RMN, because people were literally having frothing at the mouth arguments about, oh, this shouldn't be, oh, that shouldn't be, that's bad design, this is bad design, you're a terrible dev if you do this. You know, and I'm not going to name names, but there were people who would say things like, I'm the only one who can tell you how to write a story because I have a degree in creative writing. And that is the height of arrogance.
Oh, please, yeah. Absolutely.
Every one of you have the ability to be a grade A amazing dev. You don't even need us. You just need to know what works and what delivers the best UX.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
there really is nothing more to say on that.
Because at the end of the day,
yeah,
if your players are happy, you've succeeded as a dev.
That's it. Right there.
So,
Art.
If you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.